The siren wailed like a banshee through the rain-slicked streets of Seattle, but it was the crunch of metal on concrete that shattered my world. Ethan's truck crumpling against the guardrail, flames licking up from the engine like hungry tongues. I slammed on the brakes a block away, heart pounding as I leaped from my car, the downpour soaking me instantly, screaming his name into the storm. Ethan! God! No, Ethan! But he didn't answer, just lay there amid the wreckage, blood streaking his face, and in that endless second before the paramedics swarmed, his lips moved, whispering my name, soft as a secret, Andrew. I replayed that whisper 1,000 times in the sterile hum of the hospital waiting room, the coffee in my styrofoam cup gone cold hours ago. Ethan Hale, my Ethan, the broad-shouldered firefighter with the crooked grin and calloused hands that knew every inch of me, had been pulled from the inferno of a warehouse blaze gone wrong. A beam collapse, they said, trapping him under debris until the structure gave way. He'd fought fires for 8 years with Ladder 12, the kind of hero who charged into hell while the rest of us prayed from the sidelines. And now, brain trauma. Amnesia. The doctors threw around words like retrograde and hippocampus, but all I heard was the echo of his voice, fragile and familiar, cutting through the chaos like a lifeline. They let me see him at dawn, after the swelling went down enough for the monitors to stop their frantic beeping. He looked smaller in that bed, tubes snaking from his arms, his chestnut hair matted with sweat, the tattoo of a phoenix on his bicep peeking from under the gown, the one I'd traced with my fingers on lazy Sunday mornings in our Capitol Hill apartment. Ethan, I whispered, sinking into the chair beside him, my hand hovering over his before I dared to touch. His eyelids fluttered, and for a heartbeat, I thought he'd wake with that spark, pull me close like he always did after a close call. Instead, his gaze landed on me, blank, searching, like I was a stranger in a crowd. Who are you? His voice was hoarse, scraped raw from the smoke, but it hit me like a gut punch. I forced a smile, swallowing the lump in my throat, because what do you say when the man who's shared your bed, your dreams, your everything looks at you like you're just another face in the ER? I'm Andrew, I said softly, my fingers finally lacing with his cool, unresponsive. Your partner. We've been together 3 years. You got hurt saving lives again. You idiot. I tried for levity, that old banter we had, but it fell flat. His brow furrowed, confusion etching lines that hadn't been there before. Partner. He echoed the word like it was foreign, pulling his hand away, not harshly, but enough to make my chest ache. I can't remember any of it. The nurse bustled in then, checking vitals, and I stepped back, watching as he turned his head toward the window, the first light of day painting gray skies over Puget Sound. That whisper from the accident replayed in my mind. Andrew. If his body remembered me, even in the haze of pain, maybe his heart did too. But as the days blurred into a routine of therapy sessions and awkward silences, I wondered if that was just a cruel echo, a ghost of what we'd lost. Our life before the accident was the kind of story you'd whisper over beers at a dive bar. 2 guys navigating the messy beauty of love in a city that reigned too much and dreamed too big. I met Ethan at a Pride block party in the summer of 2022. The air thick with grilled hot dogs and bass-thumping drag anthems. I was 27, a graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs, nursing a breakup that left me cynical about rainbows and forever. He was 30, fresh off a shift, still smelling faintly of ash and adrenaline, his turnout gear slung over one shoulder like it weighed nothing. Our eyes locked across a sea of glittered faces, and he sauntered over with that easy swagger, handing me a red Solo cup of something spiked and sweet. "You look like you could use a hero," he'd said, his green eyes crinkling at the corners. I laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months, and spilled half my drink down my shirt. By midnight, we were making out against the side of a food truck, his hands firm on my waist, the world narrowing to the taste of him, salt and smoke and possibility. From there, it was a whirlwind. Dates at Pike Place Market, where he'd haggle for the ripest strawberries just to feed them to me, juice staining our fingers. Lazy afternoons in Discovery Park, tangled on a blanket, his head on my lap as I sketched the ferries gliding across the water. Sex that felt like coming home, urgent and tender, his body a map I memorized in the dark. He proposed on New Year's Eve, 2024, fireworks exploding over the Space Needle as he dropped to one knee in our tiny kitchen, a ring pilfered from his grandma's estate glinting in the candlelight. "Marry me, Drew," he'd murmured against my neck later, our bodies slick and spent. "Let's make this official before the world catches up." But the world had a way of intruding. Ethan's job was a beast. Shifts that stretched into marathons, calls that left him hollow-eyed and bruised. I'd wait up, pacing the loft with its exposed brick and mismatched furniture, the worry gnawing like an old ache. We'd fight sometimes, me begging him to transfer to a desk job, him firing back that saving lives was who he was, that I couldn't ask him to dim his light. "This is us, Andrew," he'd say, cupping my face. "The fire and the calm. You ground me, and I'd relent, because loving him meant loving the blaze." Now, in the aftermath, that blaze was ash. The hospital discharged him after 2 weeks, sending him home to our home with a stack of pamphlets on cognitive rehab and a prescription for patients I wasn't sure I had. I rearranged the apartment that first day, tucking away photos of us at the Grand Canyon, tickets from that weekend in Portland where we danced till dawn at a queer club. His therapist, Dr. Ramirez, advised gentle reintroduction. No pressure, just presence. So I cooked his favorites, clam chowder from scratch, the kind we'd slurped on the waterfront. Played his playlists, Springsteen and Hozier crooning about broken hallelujahs. But every shared meal ended with him pushing his plate away, frustration boiling over. "I feel like an intruder," he admitted one night, staring at the TV flickering with some cop show neither of us cared about. We sat on the couch that still held the imprint of our bodies entwined, a 6-inch gap between us now. "This place. It's yours. Not mine. I don't remember building it with you. You're not an intruder," I insisted, scooting closer, my knee brushing his. "You're Ethan. The guy who taught me to change a tire in the rain. Who cried during Brokeback Mountain and blamed the allergies. He managed a ghost of a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. When I leaned in to kiss him, soft, tentative, like testing fragile ice, he stiffened, then turned his head. "I'm sorry," he whispered, standing abruptly. I can't. Not yet." He retreated to the guest room we'd converted into an office, the door clicking shut like a verdict. I sat there till the credits rolled, tears hot on my cheeks, wondering if the man who whispered my name in his delirium would ever say it with love again. The whispers started that week, subtle at first, murmurs in his sleep that I'd catch through the thin walls. Andrew. Drew. I'd freeze in the hallway, heart leaping, pressing my ear to the door like a thief stealing scraps. But daytime was a minefield. He threw himself into rehab with the same dogged determination that made him a firefighter. Puzzles and flashcards, walks along the Burke-Gilman Trail where he'd point out landmarks like a tourist. Did I like biking here? He'd ask, and I'd nod, spinning tales of our tandem rides, the wind whipping our laughter across the lake. One afternoon, as we sat on a bench overlooking Lake Union, houseboats bobbing like lazy ducks, he turned to me with that piercing gaze. Tell me about us. The real stuff. Not the highlights, so I did the raw edges. The night his captain died in a roof collapse, how he'd come home shaking, and we'd held each other till dawn. No words needed. The argument after Pride last year, when a drunk heckler spat slurs, and Ethan clocked him, fracturing his knuckles and our illusion of safety. How I'd proposed back, slipping the ring on during a hike in the Olympics, vowing to fight for him even when the flames got too close. He listened, chin in hand, the sun gilding his profile. Sounds like I was lucky, he said finally, voice thick. To have you. His fingers brushed mine on the bench. Accidental? Intentional? And electricity hummed, a spark of the old fire. That night, he knocked on my bedroom door, standing there in boxers and a faded FDT, vulnerability raw in the lamplight. Can I stay? Just to sleep. I missed something. I think it's you. We didn't touch. Not really, just lay side by side, the mattress dipping under his weight, his breathing syncing with mine like a lullaby. In the dark, he whispered my name again, not in dream, but awake. Andrew. It was enough. For then. But memory's a fickle thief, stealing pieces and leaving riddles. 2 months in, the call started from the station, buddies checking in, voices laced with that forced cheer masking grief. Marco, his best friend on the crew, dropped by with a six-pack and stories, slapping Ethan's back like old times. Remember that cat in the tree on 4th? You climbed up like a damn monkey, nearly broke your neck. Ethan laughed politely, but his eyes glazed, the disconnect a chasm. Marco shot me a look. Hang in there, man, and later, in the kitchen, gripped my shoulder. He's fighting it, Drew. But some nights, he stares at his phone, scrolling old texts. Says your name like a prayer. Fueled me, that sliver of hope. We rebuilt in fragments. Movie nights with Top Gun, his guilty pleasure. My head on his shoulder, his arm eventually draping casual around me. Kisses that started chaste, goodnight pecks, evolving to something hungrier, his hands rediscovering paths they'd blazed before. Sex came slow, tentative, in the shower one rainy Tuesday, water cascading as he mapped me with hesitant touches, whispering apologies between gasps. Tell me if it's wrong, he'd murmur, but it wasn't, it was us, reborn in steam and size. Yet shadows lingered. Ethan woke from nightmares, thrashing, yelling about flames and faces he couldn't place. His crew, maybe, or ghosts from calls gone south. I'd soothe him, holding tight till his pulse steadied, but doubt crept in. Was I anchoring him or just a pretty story he was forcing to fit? And then, the letter arrived, unassuming in its crisp envelope, postmarked from San Diego, slipped under the door like contraband. He opened it alone, while I was at a client meeting sketching logos for a startup. When I got home, he was at the kitchen table, the paper crumpled in his fist, face ashen. Ethan? What's wrong? I dropped my bag, alarm bells clanging. He slid it across, a single sheet, typed words leaping like accusations. Ethan, if you ever read this, know I waited. But you chose him. I get it now. Be happy. J. Attached was a photo. Ethan, younger, arms around a blonde guy with a surfer's build, grinning on a beach, waves crashing behind. Dated 2019. Preemie. Who's Jay? I asked, voice steady though my stomach twisted. Jordan, he said, like the name unlocked a vault. Pieces flooded back. Not all, but enough. Flashes. A toxic ex from his LA days, before he transferred north. Jealous rages. Ultimatums. The kind of love that burned hot and left scars. Ethan had walked away, but Jordan hadn't, stalking socials, showing up at stations unannounced. The letter was a parting shot, timed like it knew we'd crack. It doesn't mean anything, I said, but he shook his head, eyes distant. It means I lied. About being over it when we met. I told you I was single, clean slate. But Jordan, he was the reason I ran to Seattle. To start over. With you, the confession hung, heavy as smoke. Betrayal, not from him to me, but from the past I'd thought buried. I'd built our love on his half-truths, and now the foundation quaked. We fought that night, ugly, voices echoing off brick walls. You let me think we were solid from day one, I yelled, pacing the living room, rain lashing the windows like judgment. What else are you hiding, Ethan? What if the accident didn't take it all? What if you're still that guy who runs? He stood, fists clenched, the phoenix on his arm seeming to writhe. I hid it because it was over. Jordan was poison, you know that now. I chose you, Andrew. Every damn day. But yeah, maybe I'm scared. Scared I'll never be whole. That you'll wake up one morning and see the fraud I feel like. The words landed like blows, and I stopped, chest heaving. I don't see a fraud. I see the man who whispered my name when he had nothing left. That's real. Silence stretched, broken only by thunder. He crossed the room, pulling me into a crush of limbs and desperation, his mouth claiming mine with a fierceness that bruised. We tumbled to the rug, clothes shed in a frenzy, bodies colliding like we could fuck the fractures away. It was raw, reclaiming, nails raking backs, teeth on shoulders. His name a chant on my lips as he drove into me, eyes locked, whispering mine like a vow. After, tangled and spent, he traced the ring on my finger, the one we'd exchanged in that Olympic meadow. Marry me still? He asked, voice small. I nodded, tears mingling with sweat. Always, but the past doesn't whisper. It roars. Jordan escalated. Texts from burner numbers. I know what you did. Vague threats that chilled. Ethan reported it, but with his memory spotty, statements faltered. Marco rallied the crew, installing cameras, but paranoia seeped in. Ethan pulled away during the day, burying in job applications, dispatch, training, anything desk-bound. For us, he'd say, but I saw the defeat in his slumped shoulders. The climax hit on a crisp October eve, leaves skittering like warnings down Queen and Avenue. I came home early from a pitch meeting, arms full of takeout from our favorite Thai spot, pad CEW and spring rolls, a peace offering after a tense week. The apartment was dim, only the bedroom light spilling gold under the door. Laughter low, intimate, filtered out, stopping my heart. Pushed in, bags slipping from numb fingers. Ethan on the bed, shirtless, Jordan beside him, not touching, but close enough, that blonde head bent as Ethan gestured, words tumbling earnest. I remember more now the fights, the way you'd show up uninvited. But Andrew, he's my anchor. Jordan's face twisted, not with remorse, but hunger, his hand landing on Ethan's knee, possessive, uninvited. What the fuck? My voice cracked the air like glass. They sprang apart, Ethan paling, Jordan smirking like he'd won a round. Drew, Ethan started, but I was already backing out, bile rising. You let him hear? After everything, the betrayal burned hotter than any fire, not just the intrusion, but the fracture it exposed, Ethan's doubt, inviting his ghost to exorcise it alone. He showed up. Said he just wanted closure. Ethan's plea fell on deaf ears as Jordan rose, all lazy confidence. Relax, pretty boy. We're just talking. Old times. Get out, I snarled, shoving him toward the door. He laughed, but complied, tossing over his shoulder. Call me when you remember who you really loved, Ethan. The door slammed, and silence crashed. Ethan reached for me, but I flinched. Why didn't you tell me? Why let him in our bed? Our home. I thought I could handle it. Prove to myself I was over him. For you. Tears tracked his cheeks, mirroring mine. But I fucked up. I'm sorry, Andrew. God, I'm so sorry. We collapsed then. A storm of sobs and accusations. The truth spilling. His fear of relapse. Of dragging me down. My terror of losing him to shadows I couldn't fight. Hours later, dawn creeping in, we lay exhausted, his head on my chest. I choose you, he whispered, fierce. Every time. Even if I have to relearn it. The wedding was small, our crew, Marco officiating in a borrowed suit. Vows exchanged under a pavilion in Gasworks Park. The city skyline a jagged witness. No rings exchanged anew. We wore the old ones, scarred but enduring. Jordan vanished after a restraining order, his poison diluted by distance. Ethan's memory returned in waves. A joke from our first date, the scent of my shampoo triggering a full night's recall. Not all at once, but enough to stitch us whole. A year on, he trains rookies now, his fire tempered to embers that warm rather than scorch. We talk about adopting, a kid to fill the loft with chaos and love. Some nights, he wakes whispering my name, not in fear, but gratitude. And in those moments, as I pull him close, I know love isn't memory. It's the choice to whisper back, even when the world's gone dark. The park pavilion smelled of damp earth and fresh-cut grass, the kind of scent that clung to your clothes long after you left, a reminder of roots digging deep. Marco cleared his throat, his mustache twitching under the strain of solemnity, as he clutched the officiant's booklet like it might bite. Ethan Hale, do you take Andrew Ellis to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better or worse, in sickness and in health? The words hung in the autumn air, crisp as the leaves crunching under our boots. Ethan's eyes, those green depths I drowned in 100 times, locked on mine, steady despite the tremor in his hands. The scar from the accident, a faint white line above his brow, caught the slanting sun, turning it silver. "I do," he said, voice rough with emotion, squeezing my fingers till the simple band bit into my skin. "I do, Drew. God help me, I do." My turn came too fast, throat tight as a noose. "I do." Simple words for a love that had clawed through wreckage, literal and otherwise. Marco grinned, all teeth and relief, declaring us bound as the small crowd erupted. Whoops from the crew, teary cheers from my sister Lena and her wife, clinking bottles of microbrew passed hand to hand. Ethan pulled me in, his kiss salt-sweet with unspoken promises, the world fading to the press of his lips, the solid wall of his chest. We danced later under string lights strung between rusting industrial relics, the park transforming into our private wonderland. Hosier crooned from a Bluetooth speaker, "Take Me to Church," our song, and Ethan swayed me slow, his breath warm on my neck. "Remember our first dance?" he murmured, nuzzling closer. "That dive in Belltown, after too many whiskeys." I chuckled, the memory sharp now, shared fully for months. "You stepped on my toes." Called it Firefighter rhythm. His laugh rumbled through me, low and healing, chasing away the last ghosts. But marriage wasn't a fairy tale coda. It was the next chapter, ink still wet. The honeymoon, a cabin on the San Juan Islands, ferry ride across glassy straits, started idyllic. Hikes through fern-choked trails, seals barking from rocky shores, nights tangled in flannel sheets with the ocean's lullaby outside. We made love like explorers, rediscovering contours, his hands reverent on my hips, my name a litany on his tongue. "You're my compass," he'd whisper post-climax, tracing lazy circles on my back. Always pointing home, yet cracks spiderwebbed even there. On day 3, as we kayaked toward Lime Kiln Lighthouse, a pod of orca surfaced, black dorsal fins slicing the water like knives. Ethan froze, paddle dipping idle, face draining of color. "Ethan," I touched his arm, chilled despite the sun. Flash. The warehouse, flames everywhere, the beam cracking like thunder. Voices calling my name. He shook it off, forcing a smile, but the oars trembled in his grip. That night, he bolted upright at 2 a.m., gasping, convinced the cabin was collapsing. I held him through the shakes, murmuring nonsense about stars and safety, but sleep evaded us both. "What if it never stops?" he confessed at dawn, staring at the ceiling beams. "The holes in me, they're not filling, Drew." "What if I'm broken forever?" "You're not broken," I insisted, propping on an elbow to meet his gaze. "You're mending." With me, but doubt flickered in his eyes, a shadow that followed us home. Back in Seattle, routine reasserted itself. My design studio humming with deadlines, Ethan's training sessions at the academy keeping him out till dusk. He thrived there, barking orders with that innate command, molding wide-eyed probies into brothers in arms. "They listen," he told me over dinner one night, fork spearing a bite of salmon. Like I never could to myself, pride swelled in me, mingled with that fierce protectiveness. I'd almost lost him once. I'd be damned if his demons stole him now. Jordan's specter, though leashed by law, lingered in echoes, A wrong number call mid-autumn. Heavy breathing that dissolved into static. Ethan changed our line, but tension coiled tighter. Then, the station holiday party. Ladder 12's annual bash at a waterfront brewery. Fairy lights twinkling over frothy pints. We arrived arm in arm. Ethan's new dress blues crisp. My button-down a concession to festivity. Toasts rang out. To fallen comrades. To new beginnings. Marco pulled Ethan aside for a quick word, leaving me nursing a IPA amid clusters of spouses swapping war stories. That's when I saw him, Jordan, leaning against the bar like he'd never left, blonde hair artfully tousled, a smirk playing on lips that had no right to be here. My blood iced, he'd violated the order. I pushed through the crowd, heart hammering, but before I could reach, Ethan emerged from the back hall, face thunderous. They collided in words, not fists, Ethan's voice low and lethal, Jordan's oily persuasion cutting through the din. You think a paper stops this? We're unfinished. Hail. Jordan's hand clamped Ethan's shoulder. Too familiar. Ethan shrugged it off, green eyes flashing. We're done since the day I left your sorry ass in California. Touch me again, and it's assault, cops on speed dial. But Jordan laughed, glancing past him, to me, eyes narrowing with malice. Ask your hubby about his side hustles. Pretty boy with secrets of his own. The barb landed unseen, but Ethan's head snapped my way, confusion warring with fury. Jordan slipped out like smoke, but the damage festered. Later, in the truck ride home, silence thick as fog. What did he mean? Ethan finally asked, knuckles white on the wheel. Nothing. He's stirring shit. But guilt gnawed, my freelance side gig. Innocent logo tweaks for a discreet app. But one client had been shady. Payments in crypto that raised flags when audited. I come clean months ago. Post letter. But in the retelling, it sounded like omission. You hid that too? Like I hid him. Ethan's voice cracked, pulling over on a deserted stretch near the locks. Salmon ladders churning below. Am I marrying a stranger, Andrew? Or just collecting them? The accusation stung. Betrayal's echo. It's not the same. I trusted you with it. You were healing. I didn't want to pile on. Tears blurred the dashboard lights. But yeah, I fucked up. We're both carrying baggage we thought we checked. He killed the engine, turning to me, face ravaged. Then unpack it. All of it. Or we're done before we start. We sat there, rain pattering the roof, spilling truths till the windows fogged. My fear of inadequacy, scraping by while he saved lives. His terror of relapse, of flames claiming more than memory. Hands found hands, apologies in touches, and when he kissed me, it was absolution, deep, devouring, the truck rocking with our urgency. Christmas came soft that year, snow dusting the Olympics like powdered sugar. We strung lights on our balcony, overlooking the twinkling grid of the city, and Ethan gifted me a custom sketchpad, leather-bound, embossed with intertwined phoenixes. For the stories we haven't drawn yet, he said, pulling me onto the rug by the tree. Inside, a smaller box, adoption agency pamphlets, his handwriting scrawled in the margins, our family. My gift to him was riskier, a scrapbook, pieced from rehab notes, therapy breakthroughs, Polaroids of our incremental joys. Flipping pages, he paused at one, us post-accident, hospital chairs, my head on his shoulder, both asleep. This, he whispered, thumb tracing the image. This is when I started remembering. Not facts, feelings. You, holding on when I couldn't. We made love by firelight, slow and sacred, bodies a dialogue of forgiveness. Afterward, curled skin to skin, he murmured plans. Fostering first, maybe a boy with his grin or a girl with my artist's hands. Dreams unfurled like smoke signals, signaling hope. Spring thawed the doubts, but summer tested them. Ethan's first full recall hit during a routine drill, a probie fumbling a hose line, the crackle of simulated fire triggering it all. The warehouse collapse, screams of his crew, the agony of choice as the beam pinned him. He blacked out mid-briefing, waking in the med bay with Marco hovering, me rushing in from a coffee run. "It's back," he gasped when I burst through, gripping my hand like iron. All of it, the pain, the pride. I saved Ramirez that night, pulled him from the rubble. Tears streamed, cathartic. But with memory came weight, guilt over the near miss, questions from brass about his readiness. "You're cleared," the chief ruled after evals, but Ethan demurred, sticking to training. "I need to be whole for us first," he told me, and I believed him till the call came. It was a mutual aid blaze, multi-alarm in Pioneer Square, historic buildings gutting like old wounds. He was off duty, but ladder 12 short-staffed. Protocol be damned, he suited up as a rider. "Just back up," he texted me at 10 p.m., my studio light burning late over a mock-up. Paste. Phone clutched. The scanner app crackling updates. Heavy smoke, possible entrapment. Midnight. Under control. Relief flooded, but at 12:47, sirens wailed again. Flashover, rollback. My phone rang, unknown number. "Andrew? It's Marco. He's inside." Beam gave, he's trapped. The world tilted. Deja vu, a vicious loop. I drove like hell, rain sheeting the windshield, arriving as ambulances screamed in. They pulled him out at 1:32, singed but stable, a twisted ankle the worst. In the ambulance, oxygen mask fogging, he grabbed my collar. I saw it, the accident. Whispered your name 'cause it was all I had. "Love you, Drew. Don't forget." Hospital again, but this time, triumph laced the fear. X-rays clear, psych eval glowing, his recall complete, a phoenix risen. Discharged by noon, we limped home, his arm over my shoulders, our laughter brittle but real. Fall brought the papers, approved for fostering, a 6-year-old named Kai, wide-eyed from the system, with a sketchbook already dog-eared. He arrived with a duffel and distrust, but Ethan's patience, honed in flames and forgetfulness, cracked him open. Dinners became threesomes, bedtime stories my drawings, Ethan's tales of heroic cats, sanitized, of course. One night, as Kai slept between us in a fort of blankets, Ethan turned to me, voice hushed. "We made it." Through the wreck, the whispers, the wars, his kiss was soft, a seal on survival. And in the quiet, with the city humming beyond, I whispered back, "Yeah, we did." Kai's laughter echoed off the loft's high ceilings like wind chimes in a gale, pure, unfiltered, the sound we'd chased since those first awkward agency visits. He was a whirlwind at 8 now, 2 years into our patchwork family, his dark curls a mop that defied combs, his questions endless. "Daddy, Why do fire trucks yell? Or Papa Drew, can I draw a dragon eating the moon? Ethan fielded the first with exaggerated truck noises, arms pumping like pistons, while I handed over markers, watching as his tiny tongue poked out in concentration. Our life had settled into a rhythm, Seattle's pulse syncing with ours. School drop-offs in the Subaru, Ethan's academy shifts ending with playground pickups, evenings of pasta boils and board games where Kai inevitably cheated with glee. The scar on Ethan's brow had faded to a whisper, much like the nightmares, rare now, chased away by routine and us. We'd married in every way that mattered: joint taxes, shared leases, a will naming each other guardians. Kai called us that, dads, with a casual ownership that melted us daily. But peace, I've learned, is fragile as fog off the sound. Started small, Ethan lingering longer at the station, debriefs that stretched into late dinners with the crew. Team building, he'd say, loosening his tie with a tired smile, but his eyes held a restlessness I hadn't seen since rehab. I'd nod, stirring sauce or sketching at the island, but unease stirred. A low simmer, familiar from accident nights. Thanksgiving brought the boil over. Lena hosted, her queen and Victorian bursting with kin. Her wife Maria's tamales steaming beside my pecan pie. Cousins chasing Kai through the yard slick with fallen maple leaves. Ethan was magnetic as ever, charming aunts with fire tails, hoisting Kai for a piggyback that dissolved into giggles. But midway through grace, his phone buzzed. He glanced, pocketed it quick. Later, carving turkey, another vibration, ignored, but his jaw tightened. Everything good? I murmured, passing the platter. Yeah. Just Marco. Logistics for the toy drive. His kiss to my temple was perfunctory, a brush-off wrapped in affection. That night, driving home with Kai snoring in his booster, I pressed, "You seem off." "Talk to me," he sighed, wipers swiping at a sudden drizzle. "It's nothing." Pressure at work, chiefs pushing for me to ride again. Full gear, front line, the words landed heavy. He'd sworn off it after the rollback, choosing the steady glow of mentorship over adrenaline's blaze. "And," I prompted, gut twisting. "And part of me misses it. The rush. Proving I'm not glass. Honesty, raw as ever, but laced with something new, doubt in us. In the life we'd forged, we tabled it, but the undercurrent pulled." December deepened the rift. Ethan's shifts overlapping holidays. Emergencies that left me and Kai decorating solo, stringing popcorn on pines to Bing Crosby croons. New Year's Eve, he bailed on our tradition midnight hike up Cary Park for city views, citing a last-minute drill. I took Kai instead, his mittened hand in mine, fireworks blooming over the needle like distant dreams. Text at 12:07. "Sorry, babe. Love you." January cracked it open. I found the email on our shared laptop, open in a tab amid my comp files. Subject, second chance. From the chief, "Hail, your evals are gold. Ladder 12 needs you back in the cab. Ramirez retires next month. Slot's yours." Below, Ethan's reply draft, unsent. "Grateful, sir. Need to discuss with family." Family. The word stung. We were his family, Kai's crayon scrawls on the fridge testament. But as I scrolled, another thread. Messages from an unknown number, timestamped late. "Miss the old days. Hero. You were unstoppable. Then Ethan's, can't. Committed now. Polite deflection. But the initiator? Jordan's area code. San Diego ghosts rising. I confronted him that night. Kayabed with a chapter book. The loft quiet save the hum of the fridge. Is it the job? Or him? I slid the printout across the counter, emails, texts, my heart in ink. Ethan's face crumpled, then hardened. It's work, Drew. The rest? He emailed out of nowhere. Some pity congrats on the kid bullshit. I shut it down, but his eyes darted guilt or the lie I'd feared. Bullshit. I shot back, voice rising despite the hour. You've been distant for weeks. If it's the fire calling, say it. But dragging his corpse into our home? After everything. He raked hands through his hair. Phoenix tattoo flexing. Maybe it is both. The job, it's me, the core you fell for. And Jordan. He reminds me of who I was before the wreck, before I became this domesticated version. The word dripped disdain, aimed inward but slicing me. Domesticated, I echoed, laugh bitter. That's what you call us? Kai's finger paints and date nights? Fuck you, Ethan. I didn't sign up to be your safe harbor while you itch for chaos. We escalated, voices clashing like cymbals, him defending the pull of purpose, me railing against abandonment's echo. You whispered my name from the brink, I yelled, tears hot. Was that a lie too? He recoiled, then advanced, pinning me to the wall, not violent, but desperate, his mouth crashing mine in a kiss that tasted of fury and farewell. It broke us open, bodies slamming in the hall, clothes torn, a frantic reclaiming that left bruises and regrets. He took me against the door, hard and punishing, my nails drawing blood from his back as I gasped his name. Ethan, stay. Climax shattered us, but after, on the floor amid scattered mail, reality seeped cold. I don't want to lose you, he whispered, forehead to mine. But I feel like I'm suffocating. The trainer gig, it's noble, but it's not the fire in my veins. Then go, I said, voice steel despite the shatter. But take the ring. And tell Kai why Daddy's leaving. He didn't, not that night. Dawn found us hollow-eyed over coffee, Kai's chatter a lifeline. Pancakes today? He chirped, oblivious. Ethan flipped them with mechanical flips, but his eyes pled, help me choose. The ultimatum hung a week, taut as piano wire. He met with the chief, toured the cab, touched the gear, felt the sirens thrum. Jordan texted again, come south. Real life awaits. Deleted unread, but the temptations scent clung. Valentine's, I cooked steak and reds, candles guttering. Kai gifted us coupons for hugs, his spelling wonky. Ethan arrived late, bouquet wilting, but his eyes burned. I turned it down. The slot. Told Ramirez to take it. He's earned the glory days. He pulled me close, Kai giggling between. This is my fire now. You. Him. Us. Relief flooded, but trust's fracture lingered. We therapy tagged, couple sessions with DR. Ramirez, no relation. Unpacking the pull-push of his identity. You're not lesser for choosing hearth, she said, her office overlooking the market's bustle. Ethan nodded, but homework, date night sans kid, Vulnerability journals, graded. Spring bloomed betrayal anew. Marco called me direct. Heads up, Drew. Ethan's been riding shadow shifts. Not official, but covering for guys. Says it's keeping sharp. My blood boiled, lies layered on half-truths. I tailed him one dusk, parking down from the hall, watching as his truck idled, then peeled toward a drill yard. But instead of academy lights, it veered to a dive neon open flickering over a door I knew, the old haunt, pre-marriage, where firefighters drowned close calls. Inside, smoke-hazed, I spotted him at the bar, not alone. Jordan, in from God knows where, leaning too close, a shot glass between them. Laughter, Ethan's head thrown back, the easy camaraderie of ghosts. No touch, but the intimacy gutted me, a parallel life, unscarred by accidents or adoptions. I stormed out before rage erupted, driving home to Kai's bedtime story, voice steady as I read of brave nights. Ethan slipped in at midnight, reeking of bar and regret. Where were you? I asked, not turning from the sink. With Marco. Debrief. The lie hung, obvious. Try again. I saw you. With him, the dish shattered in suds, shards sharp as my tone. He deflated, no denial. He cornered me after the bar. Needed to end it clean, tell him face to face I'm done, but his eyes, wary, evasive, betrayed the half-truth. Had it been cornering, or craving, the fight was cataclysmic, accusations flying like shrapnel. You're flirting with the past because our present bores you, I hurled, chest heaving. Kai deserves better than a dad who dips out for thrills. It's not boredom, it's fear, he roared back, veins bulging. Fear that settling made me weak. That one bad call and I'm back in that bed, whispering your name from the dark. Jordan's easy, no stakes, no strings, until he twists the knife. I laughed, hollow. Like now. Get out, Ethan. Sort your shit. He packed a duffel that night. Kai's tears a dagger as he hugged goodbye. Back soon, buddy. Love you. The door clicked, and silence screamed. Weeks blurred, co-parenting via texts, Kai shuttling between loft and Ethan's crash pad at Marco's. I threw into work, designs bleeding emotion, angular lines of fracture, colors bruised purple. Lena staged interventions. He's scared, Drew. Like you were post-accident. But fear doesn't excuse betrayal. The climax crashed Memorial Day weekend. A station picnic at Golden Gardens, beaches and BBQs, waves lapping like uneasy truce. Ethan showed solo, Kai on his shoulders, but Jordan materialized, visiting pals, insinuating with beers and banter. I arrived late, Lena's arm linked mine for support, and froze, Ethan and Jordan by the cooler, heads bent, Jordan's hand on his forearm. Comfort? Conspiracy? Kai ran to me, oblivious. Papa, Dad E's telling fire stories, but I saw red, striding over, yanking Ethan's sleeve. A word. We retreated to the dunes, sand shifting under fury. He's here to sabotage. And you're letting him. He's leaving tomorrow, final goodbye. Ethan's plea cracked. Drew, I swear. Swear? Like you swore off the line? Or us? The dam broke. Sobs racking. I can't. Ethan. Not again. He cupped my face, thumbs swiping tears. Then let me prove it. One last time. His kiss was desperation's edge. Salt and sand, pulling me under. We tumbled to the grass-hidden side, hidden by reeds, his body a plea urgent thrusts, my legs wrapped tight, whispering stay, stay as release claimed us. After, spent and shattered, he vowed, no more shadows. I'm yours, fire, family, all. Jordan vanished for good, a cease and desist chasing him south. Summer healed slow, joint therapy, honesty packs, Kai's joy the glue. By fall, Ethan proposed a vow renewal small, beachside, Kai ringbearer with a foam sword. As waves crashed witness, he whispered, after the accident, you were my memory. Now, you're my forever, and in that humanistic grace, flawed, fierce, enduring, I whispered back, always. The beach at Alki hummed with summer's tail-end haze, gulls wheeling over the Olympic silhouette, the ferry horn a distant basso. Kai dashed ahead, his foam sword aloft. I'm the night protector, trailing giggles as he guarded the spot we'd staked. A weathered driftwood altar, wildflowers pilfered from the roadside tucked into crevices. Ethan walked beside me, barefoot in khakis, his linen shirt unbuttoned just enough to tease the phoenix inked eternal. No crowd this time, just us. Lena officiating again with her wry grin, Marco snapping candids on a disposable Kodak. Kai knighted us first, tapping shoulders with exaggerated solemnity. By the power of dragons and dads, I dubbed the unbreakable. Laughter bubbled, easing the knot in my chest, the one that had lodged since that dune's reckoning, a scar tissue of doubt. Ethan's hand found mine, calluses rough from ropes and resolve, squeezing as Lena began. Andrew and Ethan, you've walked through infernos, literal, figurative, and emerged not unscathed, but stronger in the mending. Her voice carried over the surf, warm as the sun dipping low. We exchanged no new rings. Instead, handwritten vows on salt-stiffened paper, Ethan scrawled in his blocky hand. I vow to choose the hearth when the sirens call, to whisper your name not in crisis, but in calm. You are my anchor, my blaze, my home. Mine, tear-blurred. I vow to trust the man who rose from ashes, to hold space for your fires without fear of burn. You are my whisper in the wreck, my laughter in the light. We kissed to Kai's cheers, the ocean applauding in foam, and for a breath, felt sealed, betrayals banished, love a lighthouse beam. But life, that great leveler, doesn't bow to ceremonies. Autumn winds carried whispers of change. Ethan's academy budget slashed, admin shuffling him to night classes for efficiency. Home by 2 a.m., he'd collapse beside me, reeking of chalk, dust, and coffee, but the disconnection gnawed. Kai noticed first. Why's Daddy a vampire now? We'd laugh it off, but mornings were minefields. Me juggling client calls with breakfast, him stumbling in as I shuttled Kai to school. November rains mirrored the mood, gray sheets blurring the skyline from our windows. One storm-lashed night, Ethan woke me at 1:47, his body heat a sudden press. Drew, he murmured, lips trailing my shoulder, hands insistent. We moved quiet, mindful of Kai's room, a slow burn that built to urgency. His breath hitching as I arched under him, our rhythm a silent storm. After, he held me fierce, face buried in my neck. Missed this. Missed us. The job stealing you? I traced his jaw, stubble rasping. Yeah. And something else. Hesitation, then dreams. Not nightmares, the good ones. Pre-Kai. Wild weekends in the Cascades. Tents and trails. Nostalgia laced his tone. Sweet but sharp. We can reclaim that, I offered. Weekend getaway. Just two. His smile dawned slow. Promise. We planned it feverish. A yurt in the Olympics. No signal. Just hikes and heat. Dropped Kai with Lena. Drove out Friday dusk. The road winding through fog-shrouded evergreens. The yurt glowed like a lantern. Wood stove crackling as we unpacked. Wine. Cheese. The lube tucked casual in my pack. Dinner devolved to foreplay. Grapes fed from fingers. His mouth chasing spills down my chest. Laughter dissolving to moans as we hit the furs. It was magic rediscovering. His body a landscape I'd mapped but never tired of. The dip of his collarbone. The flex of thighs bracketing mine. Love you, he gasped mid-thrust. Eyes locked, and I believed it, utterly, as release crested together, stars wheeling overhead through the skylight. Morning brought clarity. Coffee brewed on the stove, mugs steaming as we sat cross-legged, plotting. More of this, he said, lacing fingers. Balance. Maybe cut nights to 3 a week. Done. But as we hiked later, mossy paths to a waterfall's roar, a call pierced the quiet. Marco, voice tight. Chief's revamp, your lead instructor now. Hail. Full-time days. Congrats. Ethan's face lit, then shadowed. Means overtime pay. Stability for Kai's college fund. Joy edged with cost, the nights reclaimed. But the spark he'd mourned? Back home. The high lingered a week. Till Thanksgiving redux. Lena's spread, but Ethan tense, checking his phone mid-bite. Station stuff, he muttered, but I glimpsed the sender, Jordan. Heard about the promo. Knew you couldn't quit the heat. Drinks in SD? I excused us early. Drive home silent. Block him, I said flatly, pulling into the garage. I did. It's spam, old number recycled, but the lie quivered, and when I checked his phone later, trust's fragile thread snapping, I saw the thread, not spam. Closure chats. Nothing more. Betrayal's vine strangled anew. Nothing. I hurled the device at the wall, screen cracking. You're texting your ex while we're playing family? He flinched, then fired. It's words. Drew, not affairs. You're the one who said trust. Now you're spying. Trust is earned post-lies. Kai stirred down the hall, and we hushed, venom simmering. What do you want, Ethan? The fireman fantasy or this? Both. God, why can't it be? His roar echoed, then deflated to plea. I'm trying. But you look at me like I'm one slip from ruin. The fight festered days. Kai's confusion a knife. Our dad's mad. We papered over with movies. But cracks widened. December brought ultimatum, therapy or trial sep. He chose sessions. Dr. Ramirez's office a battlefield of truths. You're grieving the old self, she posited. Notebook neutral. But clinging to ghosts risks the present. Ethan nodded. But homework, weekly fire-free dates, chafed. Jordan escalated. Voicemails. Come home. Hero. He's clipping wings. Ethan deleted, but confessed in session. Part of me wonders, what if? The admission gutted. My grip on the chair arm whitening. Christmas Eve. Snow rare and thick. We trudged to the tree lot. Kai's mittens tugging us to a lopsided spruce. Decorating post-bedtime, ornaments tinkling. Ethan paused at a bauble, our wedding photo, miniaturized. "Worth fighting for?" he asked, voice small. "Always." I pulled him down, kissing slow amid boxes, hands wandering till we made love on the rug. Tender, reaffirming, his whispers vows renewed. But January's chill brought the blaze. A multi-alarm in Soto, warehouses ablaze, echoes of his wreck. Off duty, but the pull irresistible. He suited up as volunteer, texting just observing. Hours later, rollback trapped civilian, Ethan diving in. News chopper footage, his silhouette in the maelstrom, pulling a woman clear. Home by dawn, soot-streaked, adrenaline glazed. "You could have died," I whispered, bandaging a gash, tears mingling with grime. "But I didn't." And she lived. His eyes blazed, purpose reignited. Kai hugged his legs, hero worship wide. "My daddy saved someone," pride warred with terror. "Promise me no more," I begged that night. Bodies entwined post-panic sex, his skin tasting of ash and afterglow. "I promise." But dawn brought resignation. Chief offering the rider spot again. "Post your heroics." He took it. For the rush. For us, better shifts. Pride pay. Betrayal's aftertaste soured. But his kiss begged understanding. Spring strained. Shifts pulling him. Kai's bedtime misses piling guilt. Jordan's final strike. Showing at the station. Support visit. Cornering Ethan in the lot. Marco intervened. But words exchanged. "He's not enough for you." Ethan told me. Full disclosure. But the seed doubt flowered. June. Kai's birthday, piñata and park. But Ethan late. Call ran long. Home. Cake melting. I snapped. "Choose, Ethan." Us or the siren. He chose. Demoted himself to dispatch. Desk-bound but ours. The fire's in me. But home's where I burn brightest. Summer solstice. We renewed again, backyard. Fire pit crackling. Kai roasting marshmallows. Vows shorter. I choose you. Today and tomorrow. Love. Humanistic in its humility. Flawed men forging forever. Years folded. Kai teen tall. Sketching beside me. Ethan's stories, his lore. Whispers became legacy. His name on my lips. Mine on his. Through every storm. In the end, after all wrecks, we whispered not in loss, but life enduring, a light